Hello, everyone. It's great to see you on this Monday of reInvent, and welcome to this session on what's new in Amazon OpenSearch service. We've been hard at work for the last several months, and we are excited to share our innovations that will help you hopefully run your business more cost-effectively and efficiently. I'm Mukul Karnik, General Manager for Search Services. Presenting with me is Rajiv Towri, Principal Product Manager for Search Services. Before we get started, can I get a quick show of hands on how many of you use OpenSearch or have you tried it? Oh, that's quite a few. How many of you use it in production? Oh, that's quite a few too. Great to see that. For those, I guess, who are not as familiar, I'll begin with introducing the Amazon OpenSearch service. Then I'll talk about the innovations in the open source project, OpenSearch, that powers this service. These are innovations in search, which I'll talk about, and Rajiv will cover the innovations in log analytics. Then we'll talk about the innovations in the service, where it'll help you reduce cost, run more securely, and operate at scale. And finally, we'll talk about the road ahead. This session does not have a live Q&A, but both Rajiv and I are available outside, and we can catch up if you have any questions. So let's get started. Let's look at the history of search at AWS. In the early days of AWS, when we had EC2, S3, RDS, which is our relational database service, many customers started building all kinds of applications. These were e-commerce applications, travel sites, iPhone, Android applications. And we started getting feedback that customers wanted us to help them scale and build and scale search into their applications. So given our experience in Amazon Retail and A9, we built Cloud Search and launched it in 2012. And customers adopted it. Then we started getting feedback from customers that they wanted us to help scale their open source search and log analytics engines. So in 2015, we launched a managed service for Elasticsearch, and customers started adopting that. Then we added several new features. We added features to improve security, operate at scale, reduce cost. We also added machine learning capabilities. So we added a KNN plugin, we added anomaly detection so that customers could use machine learning in their applications. And then we added recently an observability plugin to help you look at logs, metrics, and traces together. So we've been innovating on several of these fronts. In 2021, we also created an open source project called OpenSearch so that customers could have access to an open source search and log analytics engine. In the early days of OpenSearch, we had really positive feedback from the community as well as partners. And when we came to reInvent last year, we had about 1.4 million downloads for the project. So I would say within a short span of 6 months, we had 1.4 million downloads, which was a good start. Then over this year, we had more members of the community participate, contribute to the project, and we released several new features over this year. And I'm excited to announce that now we have more than 100 million downloads since launch. That's about 100 million downloads in 16 months, which is really exciting to see. And the momentum for the project is really accelerating. It's thanks to all the committers, external maintainers, contributors who are helping grow the project. So really excited to see that. And this momentum is actually helping drive momentum for the service. We now have tens of thousands of customers creating hundreds of thousands of domains and serving trillions of requests a month. That's right, trillions of requests a month, which is astounding. So really good to see this kind of momentum. For those who are not as familiar with search, let's look at what search is all about. Search is all about finding relevant insights in a large amount of data. It could be finding the product in a large amount of product catalog. It could be finding relevant documents or phrases in documents in a large pool of documents, or it could be finding the relevant logs in your log data. So it's really about finding those relevant insights so that you can take the next step. And OpenSearch is a great engine at this search primitive. So it works really well for search use cases. It works well for the log analytics use cases. And let's maybe dive deep into the search use case first. We use search in our lives daily. Just the other day, I was wanting to watch a movie with my kids, and I went to Amazon.com, and I searched new movies to rent. And I got a list of movies that were released in the last few weeks. So very relevant results. Then I wanted to look at the top-rated movies, so I clicked on 4-star plus rating movies, and I got even more relevant results for me. This aspect of being able to search, getting back relevant results, being able to see all the facets of the results, and then be able to filter using those facets is a very powerful way to get to the relevant insights. In my case, I watched Top Gun, which I guess I could have asked my friends, but a lot of times you don't know what information's out there, and OpenSearch helps you get to those insights. The same aspect of being able to search, get relevant results, facet using different attributes, and then being able to filter using those facets is very powerful for log analytics as well. As a developer back in Amazon retail, whenever there was a live site incident, I'd have to use a combination of grep, awk, sort, unique, and all kinds of commands to be able to find those new errors that have started to happen so that I could understand what's going on. While those commands are pretty powerful, sometimes it takes time to figure out the right commands, the right sequence, and this is very valuable time. This is, in many cases, business impacting events that are happening, and you want to quickly get to the root cause and fix it. And with OpenSearch and OpenSearch dashboards, you can quickly get to those insights by simply looking at a histogram of all the recent errors and then being able to filter out and find the new ones. And I wish as a developer I had access to these kind of tools, but now with OpenSearch you can get to those kind of insights very quickly. Now that you know why OpenSearch is very useful, let's look at how it works. Let's look at a log analytics use case. You have application servers generating a lot of application data. You can send this data directly to OpenSearch using an HTTP endpoint. Or more often, customers use different kinds of clients like Logstash, Data Prepper, Fluent to send data to OpenSearch. Once the data reaches OpenSearch, it gets indexed, and a Lucene index is created in the backend. What is a Lucene index? Lucene index is just an inverted index similar to what you find in a book, at the back of a book. At the back of a book, you'll have typically a word and the pages on which that word occurs. A Lucene index is very similar. There's a few other data structures that are there, but let's keep it simple. Now, when a DevOps engineer opens OpenSearch dashboard, it generates a set of queries. These queries then go against that index or indices and searches for the relevant information based on the words in that query and returns back the results that are ranked based on relevance. That's basically how OpenSearch and OpenSearch dashboards work. Let's look at the project that powers this two engines. As I mentioned, we launched OpenSearch project in July of 2021, and since then, we've had 100 million plus downloads. We also had ranked 4th in DB engines. I don't know how many of you are familiar with DB engines, but it's a way to rank different sort of engines that are available. And we already ranked number 4th, and we entered this ranking system just in March of this year. So really good to see this momentum. We also have a lot of partners. We have 40 plus different partners of the project, partners like Avian, Logs.io, Canonical. Many of them are contributing actively in the project, and that's great to see. We have 10,000 plus different commits that have happened, and we are now available in all the major cloud providers. So we are now, We have AWS, of course, with our service. And Oracle has launched a managed OpenSearch service. We have, through partners, we have availability on Azure and GCP as well. So it's really good to see this momentum. The Amazon OpenSearch service is the service that hosts OpenSearch. It provides a fully managed and secure way to run your OpenSearch workloads. It also provides many cost reduction or optimization features. Features like UltraWarm. We recently launched GP3, which Rajiv will cover. And so it'll help you run these workloads in a secure, fully managed, and cost-effective manner, and let you focus on the search use case or the log analytics use case. Customers like Netflix, Uber are using OpenSearch. These are some of the customers that are using OpenSearch very actively. Customers like 3M are getting a lot of benefit from OpenSearch. They have 80 different applications generating hundreds of terabytes of data every month, and 550 different users using this OpenSearch dashboards to able to sort of search and get insights from their data. And all of this they're able to do with 2 dedicated engineers and very low TCO per document. So really good to see them being able to scale, being able to get all of this at a very cost-effective manner. Now let's look at the innovations in OpenSearch. I guess before I get to the next slide, I'd like to get you all in the audience to guess how many features we launched. How many of you all think we launched 25 to 50 features this year? Okay. How about 50 to 75? A few, I guess. Okay. How about 75 to 100? Okay, a few more. How about 100 plus? Okay, it was quite even actually. So we actually launched 110 different features across 16 different releases this year. And the amazing thing is that the number of features that we are launching in a release is increasing. So we are launching more features every release. And the other amazing thing is that we are releasing actually more often. So our release velocity has gone up as well. So it's exciting to see that we've not only increased the number of features per release, but we are releasing more often. This is largely also due to the fact that we are seeing more people contribute from the community in addition to the team at Amazon. So that's really exciting to see. Now let's look at some of the innovations in search. We've been innovating in search for a long time. And we've been innovating in machine learning also for a long time. In 2018, we launched our KNN plugin, which is the K-nearest neighbor plugin, to help customers build machine learning into their applications. KNN helps you in use cases like similarity search. So going back to the movie example, if you were to search for a movie, KNN lets you get all the movies with relevant attributes. So for example, movies by the same director or movies starring the same actors. KNN lets you do all kinds of things like that. And so we launched KNN in 2018. So what did we do this year? This year, we focused on making KNN more efficient and more performant. We integrated it with the FAIST library and to make it more efficient. And then we upgraded OpenSearch to Lucene 9 that gave us 30% more indexing performance and 10% more search performance. So it was really good to see these performance improvements. Performance matters a lot for search use cases, and so these will hopefully help you all get faster and efficient on search. Another area that we are really innovating is in improving search relevancy. Relevancy is probably the most important thing in search. You want to be able to return the most useful results for your users so that the products they buy or the documents that they click on are the most relevant ones. And so to do that, traditional techniques for relevance such as BM25, use statistical methods. So what they do is they take the number of words that match and how frequently do they occur in the documents, and use that to determine the relevance. And this works well for keyword search use cases and is actually pretty powerful. A lot of customers tune it really well, and it works really well. But there are scenarios where you want to look at the semantic meaning of the word, or usually a sequence of words. And when you're looking at those kind of scenarios, the results that you get from these statistical methods are not as useful. When you want to get those semantic meanings, you want to use more machine learning-based techniques and use semantic search. I'm excited to announce that in the OpenSearch release 2.4 that we released a few weeks back, we now have semantic search using neural models that's available in OpenSearch. And you can download it and try it out. What it lets you do is it lets you generate using the neural models, KNN high dimensional vector data that you can store using the KNN plugin, and then use the same machine learning model to generate queries that go against that KNN data and helps you improve search. We've also released this comparison tool that lets you compare results from one technique to another technique. And finally, one of the key things that we've done, which is differentiating and unique, is being able to combine BM25 and this semantic search capability. Because there are scenarios where semantic search actually does not work as well, and keyword search does a really good job. And what you want to do is be able to combine BM25 and the semantic search in a way that gets you the best results for both these use cases. So let me do a quick demo. So this is the comparison tool that I talked about. It's a split screen view. There's query 1, which is the traditional BM25-based search, and query 2, which is the semantic search in combination with the BM25. The demo we're going to do on is like open source image data. We're going to just be searching the image description. So we'll search for whatever I type in, we'll search across image description for all these pictures, and let's see what results we get. The first query I'm going to try is Wild West. When we think of Wild West, we think of countryside, we think of horses, cowboys, rodeo. Let's see what these methods return. Let's look at the first result. The BM25 returned this basketball stadium in West Virginia University. So it matched the word West with the image description West Virginia and returned this as its top result. While the interesting thing is the semantic search returned a horse, a cowboy riding a horse in a rodeo. And the very amazing thing here is that Wild West is not there in the image description. So if you look at the image description, there's no mention of Wild or West. So it's really understood the semantic meaning of the word Wild West and returned the result. Let's look at the next image. Here you see an animal in the countryside, a wild animal in the countryside. And again, BM25 sort of indexed on the word wild, while semantic search is using, again, the semantic meaning and returning, again, like cowboy riding a horse in a rodeo. So there's a trend starting to emerge. As you can see, keyword search works well when you have exact match, but when you want more semantic understanding, you want to use combination of BM25 and semantic search that we've launched. So hopefully you all get to try it out, and please give us feedback on that. With that, I'm going to hand over to Rajiv, who's going to talk about all the innovations in log analytics.
Excellent. Thank you, Mukul. That was a phenomenal demo. Excited about all the cool stuff that's come in with OpenSearch 2.4. I'd love to see all of you guys try it. Mukul talked about all the innovations on search-related use cases. I'm going to focus more on log analytics and observability, share with you what we've done there, and give you a demo as well. Just by a quick show of hands, maybe everybody raise their hands this time. Let's try that. Come on, everybody raise their hands. Everybody raise their hands. Everybody who's using OpenSearch for log analytics or observability, leave it up. Okay, leave it up, leave it up. Okay, so about a third of the people here. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. Thank you. So that's pretty exciting. Let me share with you sort of what you can do with OpenSearch for these use cases. Mukul mentioned in his talk like he was grepping and awking log files to pull up the relevant log events that he might be interested in to debug the problems that he was running into. And that's a very common scenario. The application downtime is very critical. And when your app is down, speed is of the essence. So anything that you can use to quickly troubleshoot those issues is going to be critical. With downtime, there's a lot of cost associated with it. So there was a Gartner study done where they identified that there was about 87 hours on average of downtime per application. Each application on average cost about $42,000 per hour. Obviously, if you have a critical application, it could be much more. Not only that, there's opportunity costs from loss of business during that time. Your customer sentiments are affected. You might have penalties associated with SLAs, et cetera. Brand alienation that comes along with it. So these are some real impacts that you could have when your application isn't performing or isn't available to the degree that you want it to be. And that's where tools like OpenSearch come in to help you reduce the downtime that you can experience and give you the capabilities to troubleshoot and resolve those issues faster. So we've extended the log analytic capabilities of OpenSearch with an observability solution that's built on top of it. And there are two main parts to it. There is an ingest component that collects logs, metrics, and traces. And there is a query layer and a visualization capability to help you analyze logs, metrics, and traces. One of the key things that we realized as part of building observability is that logs constitute just one part of the data that you're typically using to troubleshoot your applications. The other parts are really around metrics and traces, and it's really helpful to have all three of them in a single solution or in a single place so you can analyze them side by side. And so we built this solution both on the ingest layer using a component called Data Prepper, as well as an analytics layer on top of OpenSearch to help you look at logs, metrics, and traces in one place. One of the things that you might be wondering is, why is Data Prepper so important, or why is this ingest layer so important? And the primary reason for that is, in today's environments, when you're building very distributed applications, you're probably collecting data, logs, metrics, and traces, from many different services, many different microservices, many different components in your environment. And they're all generated in different formats with different standards, probably, et cetera. And an ingest pipeline, such as one that you can build with Data Prepper, can be really helpful in several ways. Firstly, it can help you optimize the cost of the data that you need to store and be able to search on. So if there's duplicate information coming in, or if there are fields that you know you don't care about, for example, or you might want to drop, you can do all of that in your ingest pipeline to optimize the storage costs associated with this information. Secondly, you can also use it to really enforce data quality. All the data might be generated in different formats, and having it neatly normalized in some kind of a common format or a common schema is going to be vitally important to help you debug issues faster. You don't have to think about or worry about how the data is formatted or organized, depending on the source that it came from, if you've been able to normalize it. We've also seen customers really care about privacy. Sometimes there's personally identifiable information included in this data, especially in your log data, and being able to sort of obfuscate it or drop it is really important. There's also data localization requirements. So you might want to route your data to maybe a particular domain or a cluster that's in a region where the data needs to be, for example. So for these reasons, it's really important. And now we're also seeing people use for streaming analytics, such as enriching the data with maybe location information or inference calculations that they might want to do with it. So for these reasons, the data pipeline is really important. Data Prepper is one of those projects that we've innovated on in open source. to deliver on these benefits. And Data Prepper is really, architecturally, is pretty straightforward. It's a pipeline with a source, a bunch of processors, and a sink. The source determines the collectors or the sources that you can collect the information from. And we support a number of open source tools and technologies. OpenTelemetry, which is really getting adopted in the observability domain. So we support the OpenTelemetry collector, in addition to FluentBit for log data, as well as S3 as a source for customers that might be putting log data or other data directly into their S3 buckets. We've got a number of processors that you can use for filtering, aggregation, deduplication, et cetera. We have a grok processor, a drop processor. We also recently launched an aggregate processor, for example, and a whole bunch of other processors are available to sort of make this happen. And then finally, on the sync side, we added new capabilities for things like conditional routing and rolling index configuration, et cetera, to simplify the management and the routing of data into your OpenSearch clusters. In addition to Data Prepper, I would mention that we also built a analytics tool for observability within OpenSearch. And that's available as a plugin within your OpenSearch dashboards. Last year's reInvent, if any of you were there, you might have seen a trace analytics plugin, where we had launched a plugin for collecting and analyzing distributed trace data. We've now expanded that and made it a full observability plugin that can cover logs, metrics, and traces. And we've got enhanced capabilities for additional ways of analyzing log data. I'll give you more details about that, as well as metric data. In addition to that, there's another cool capability for managing your applications. Typically, your log, metric, trace data spans multiple different environments or multiple different application environments. And you can use this notion of an application to sort of segment your view, your analytical views, into the slices of log files or log sources or trace sources that you care about that constitute that particular application. So it's really helping you simplify your analysis of your environment as you go forward. There's two things that I'd like to kind of like quickly share with you on this front in the last year that we've launched. So the first one is around metric analytics. The great thing about this is that we support metric data collection from remote time series metric stores like Prometheus. So if you're using native data metric collection and you're storing it in something like a Prometheus, we'll add, we can directly query it and show it within OpenSearch dashboards side by side with the log data. So that's available there. The other really awesome thing about this is we also allow you to derive metric data from log data that you're collecting. So and when I show you a demo, I'll give you an example of this. Sometimes the granularity of information that you need about the metrics is really hard to collect directly at the source, but it's easy to interpret from the logs that you're collecting. So for example, if you want to measure the error count for your users coming from Japan, for example, you can very quickly parse that in your log files and then be able to sort of measure the error rate for those sets of users and create a metric for it and analyze it. And now you can analyze these log-generated metrics as well as Prometheus natively collected metrics in a single dashboard or a single pane of glass. All the data is obviously stored in the OpenTelemetry compliant format. So we are compliant with open source standards, which makes it easier for you also to go off and search it and analyze it yourself. And keeping it all together really helps you drive down or accelerate your problem resolution times and ensure better uptime for your applications. The second feature that I'm really excited about that we just launched around log analytics is a feature for log patterns. Mukul was mentioning how we use grupping and awking as a way to identify outliers. When you've got a sea of data or a sea of log data from multiple sources coming in, it's really hard to sort of figure out what those outlier events are that you might be interested in. Log patterns can help you pinpoint that. It automatically summarizes all the terabytes and petabytes of log data that you're collecting into commonly identifiable patterns. and tells you which are most frequently occurring and which are very infrequently occurring. And those infrequently occurring patterns are the ones that you probably want to focus on to identify incidents that might be of interest to you. The patterns feature is actually building on new capabilities that we launched within the observability plugin for log tailing and features for log surround and additional capabilities for log monitoring, et cetera. And I'll briefly give you a view of that when I give you a demo of what that looks like. So we're excited about this. We hope you can sort of play with this and take advantage of it and use it to really accelerate your problem resolution times. A third feature that we've launched in the past year is we improved our anomaly detection capabilities within OpenSearch. Many of you might be familiar. We support high cardinality anomaly detection. We've improved those capabilities to be able to support 1 million entities with a granularity of 1 minute. What this means is, for example, let's say you're doing anomaly detection on error count, and you identify a particular anomaly. What you might really be interested in is identifying which particular error code within that error count actually contributed to that anomaly. So that's what high cardinality anomaly detection is. It allows you to do anomaly detection on each of the dimensions of a particular metric to figure out whether there was an anomaly associated with it. And obviously, if you've got a lot of metrics and a lot of dimensions of those metrics, you could have a lot of entities that you want to run anomaly detection on. So with this latest enhancement, we're able to support 1 million entities. Each of these entities can have data samples that are about 1 minute apart. So that's a great way to be able to do that and very quickly use these anomaly detection capabilities to hone in into the root cause of a problem that you might be interested in. I'd like to bring up an example with one of our customers who's using the features of our observability plugin very effectively. They're using distributed tracing with trace analytics. They're using a log analytics capabilities. And over the last 18 months or so, since they've begun using it, they've actually grown their data collection 10x. So they've added new workloads, new applications to OpenSearch observability. And while they've grown 10x, they've kept their costs, the overall costs for their environment about the same. So it's been a tremendous advantage and benefit for them. Both Dow Jones, who I'm quoting here, as well as 3M, are speaking on a panel later on this week. So if you want to hear them talk about their personal experiences, or if you want to have questions for them, please be sure to attend that panel. And we'll give you some pointers at the end of the talk about how to, where the panel is running, et cetera. With that, I'd like to give you a quick demo about some of the features of log patterns and metrics and show you what that looks like. So let me flip my presentation here. Everybody can see my screen. I'll open up a new tab. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a new observability plugin. You can very easily access the plugin right here within OpenSearch dashboards. It's one of the plugins that shows up that you can immediately access it. And when you go there, you have all of the capabilities that I just mentioned. Trace analytics allows you to do distributed tracing. Application analytics gives you the view of your application across logs, traces, and metrics. Event analytics is what we call the enhanced capabilities for log analytics. I'll demonstrate what that looks like for you. Metric analytics is the new capability that we just launched. I'll also demonstrate that for you. Operational panels are really just dashboards that allow you to put together a bunch of visualizations in one place. Notebooks are similar to dashboards, except that it also allows you to tell a story. So you can put in multiple visualizations in different time series events in one place in a notebook. So if you're doing root cause analysis, for example, it's a very easy way to kind of like document a process that you've gone through for it. Multiple people can also contribute to a notebook creation. So it's a great way to create sort of a record of particular analysis that you went through or some root cause analysis that you might have worked through. So let me first talk about log analytics and log patterns. All of this, the query interface is powered by our language called pipe processing language. So if you just click on PPL, it gives you a quick overview of what that looks like. If you're familiar with sort of the Unix pipe command, it follows the same construct. With this example that you can see, you're searching on a particular source index. You're looking for people who are over the age of 18, and you're looking up their first name and last name, really. Those are the fields that you're looking up. So it's a very simple language to be able to do that. We've built a bunch of type-ahead capabilities in our interface. So I'm going to just quickly show you, for example. So all of the sources that I can use to query are available here. I'm looking at this particular one called dashboard logs, and I'm going to pull up information over for today. So when I go there, this is a quick view of all of the results, all the events that I see. So in the past 24 hours, or just today, this morning, there are about 241 events, or 241 log events that have been created, in this particular index associated with it. You can see our live tailing features here, for example. So when you click on live, you can tail the sequence of events at 5-second intervals, 10-second intervals, etc. So all of those options are available for you. You can click into each event, for example, and see in a nice tabular format all the different fields of how the particular event is recorded. You can view surrounding events. So if this were an event of interest for you and you want to see what were the other events that occurred a few right before or right after, you can view those surrounding events. So by default, we show you the 5 oldest and the 5 newest events around it. So this is our event of interest, and you see the 5 events before and after right there. One of the things that you also notice out here is that we've got a show patterns link here where you can quickly look at summarize all of these 241 events into patterns. So let's see what happens. So when I do that, you see that all this 241 different events were organized into 45 different patterns. And so this has simplified my life quite a bit. So you could have thousands or hundreds of thousands of events, and you pretty much narrowed it down to a few key ones that you're interested in. More interestingly, we actually allow you to sort them by the frequency. So obviously, the more commonly occurring events are maybe something that you are okay with or not so worried about. But maybe the uncommonly occurring events are the ones that you want to drill into. So you can very quickly look into that and see what might be going on. For those that are curious, you can actually edit the pattern as well. So this pattern right now is just a simple regular expression pattern that is running on the message field, and all it's doing is sort of eliminating all the alphanumeric characters. So it's just literally looking at the punctuations in the message field, and all the events that may have the same punctuation pattern essentially become part of a pattern, and you can analyze that. And if you want to sort of edit it or modify that, it's very easy to do. The other really interesting thing is in this scenario, we're using the message field as a default pattern field, but you can use other fields as a default field. So if you want to use the agent field, for example, I do that. I really quickly see that really there are only 3 patterns, so 3 different agents that were sending all the log data to me. So suddenly if you saw an agent that you shouldn't see or just showed up, or a new browser version just showed up, maybe that was having some errors, you can very quickly identify that. If you are interested in a referrer field, if you're logging access logs, for example, and you want to see what were the referrer sources, so you can sort them very easily. So in this scenario, you can see, we got a bunch of referrals from Twitter, for example, that came in, but it's super easy to sort that way. So this is a really powerful feature. It helps you sort of analyze tons of data and make sense of it, and identify, the outlier events that you might be really interested in. The second thing that I wanted to show you is around metric analytics. So metric analytics, like I said, includes a bunch of Prometheus metrics as well as log-generated metrics. So all the metrics that are available for you to visualize on this panel are available here. So I'm going to, I've got 2 log-generated metrics that I've created for this demo. So I'm going to just click on them and select them right here. So the first one is the max and the average number of bytes and the max number of bytes that we're going through that. And then the second one is throughput by host. So you can see I've got about 5 hosts here. Now this might be a really not such an easy metric for me to natively collect through metric monitoring, but it's very easy for me to derive from using my log data. So I can plot that. And if I'm worried about maybe the drop in throughputs at a certain time, and if that happens to be an outlier, and if you want to correlate that with, let's say, CPU utilization on those hosts, and you want to see what the information that I gathered from Prometheus, you can do that. So let me, for example, search on all CPU-related metrics that I might have got from Prometheus and add that in this scenario. In this scenario, obviously, I don't obviously see a correlation here, but you can build sort of a view to sort of look at all your log metrics and Prometheus metrics side by side and see if you can sort of quickly correlate what might be going on with that. So that's a quick insight into observability plugin. Hopefully, all of you can take it and use it within your environments and make good use of it. So with that, let me flip back to my presentation here. Excellent. So we shared with you sort of all the innovations in search and give you a demo of that, some of the new innovations in log analytics and observability, give you a quick demo of that. I also now want to share some of the innovations that we've delivered on Amazon OpenSearch service, especially as and all of these are available on the service, but especially as they relate to cost optimizations, security enhancements, and helping you run a large environment at scale, all the automation capabilities that we built in. From a cost optimization standpoint, we've talked about delivering ultra-warm and cold storage capabilities that can help you optimize your storage costs over time. In the past year, we just added support for GP3, General Purpose Volume Type 3, for the EBS storage that is associated on your hot nodes. It has several key benefits. Firstly, it's about 10% cheaper than GP2, so right off the bat, you can get some savings from that. Secondly, it has up to 2x the storage density on certain node types as compared to GP2. So for workloads that were storage bound, where you were just literally scaling up your cluster to get access to more storage, this can sort of help you optimize the costs. And thirdly, you can also provision the throughput capacity for your for EBS storage independently of the storage volumes. So with GP2, you have to go to bigger storage volumes to get more throughput. With GP3, you can do that independently. So for workloads that are limited by that dimension, they would definitely benefit from GP3. We also analyzed the approximate cost savings that you can realize from moving over from GP2 to GP3. And in our estimate, you should be able to save about 25 to 30% on your cluster costs for scenarios where you are sort of limited by these factors. It's super easy to upgrade. So if you are using GP2, I really encourage you to do that. You can do it right in the console, through the console or through APIs, and be able to take advantage of the additional capacity on the clusters that you can get as a result of it. The second thing that we launched are two key new security features. The first one was support for AWS Private Link. This really helps you deliver data securely from your VPC into an Amazon OpenSearch VPC configured domain. What Private Link does is made that connectivity simpler. So you could always use VPC connectivity. You just had to set up VPC peering, and you need to set up an internet gateway, and you need to do some maintenance of that connectivity through software changes or configuration changes on your domains or your clusters. With Private Link, all of that is simplified. So this is a dramatic benefit compared to the previous version, and encourage all of you to try that out. Second, we also extended our fine-grained access capability to allow you to configure on your existing domain. So previously, only new domains could be configured with FGAC, as we call it, but now you can do it on an existing domain as well. FGAC really helps you control index level, document level, and even field level security settings. And so that's what we mean by sort of the fine-grained access control. So it gives you really granular control of the data that you are storing within OpenSearch clusters. And the last thing that I just really want to talk about is the tremendous energy we're putting in to ensuring that we can simplify the operations of all your clusters that you're running on Amazon OpenSearch service. So there are two categories of investments that we're making. One is ensuring that we automate and simplify all the configuration changes and the software update changes that you might want to make to your running production environments. So a large part of that is sort of validating whether a configuration change will need a blue-green or not, so you can be forewarned about it. If you do need a blue-green, giving you better progress visibility about it, and then also giving you notifications in the console, in EventBridge and CloudWatch notifications, et cetera, about the progress or availability of the blue-greens. The second thing that we focused on is improving the resiliency of clusters when they're operating at scale. There were two key innovations that we delivered in the past year on this. The first one was admission control, and the second one was shard-level indexing back pressure. Both of these work together in tandem. Admission control really looks at the health of a node, such as JVM memory pressure, for example, to determine if both search and indexing workloads can be admitted to a particular node. And this is integrated with our auto-tune capabilities, so there's no fixed thresholds associated with it. Auto-tune will kick in and automatically sort of control that. Shard-level indexing back pressure looks at the shard-level health while you're indexing data to determine if it can continue with the process. So it's looking at things like latency and throughput of your indexing requests to determine if those indexing requests should be allowed in or not. Together in combination, they can really help improve the health of the cluster, and you'll see us doing more on this front in the future as well. There's links to excellent blog posts there in those QR codes for each of these. So if you want to, go read about it more, or try it out, or enable it on your environment, go for it. And then finally, we've also improved all of the notifications and updates we provide to you, in our console, et cetera, about all the various configuration changes that might be happening in an environment. With that, I'd like to bring Mukul back to bring us home.
Awesome. It was a really cool demo and some really good innovations. I think log patterns probably was my favorite. It would have definitely helped me in my days at retail. Cool. So let's look at the innovations and the road ahead. As I was mentioning early on, we are releasing a lot more features, and we have a lot more releasing it very frequently. So we have a lot of things going on that are going to come really soon. One of the areas we are continuing to innovate is in log analytics. Rajiv talked about integration with Prometheus. It's a very unique integration because what we do is we actually federate queries from OpenSearch to your Prometheus endpoint, and you are able to view your metrics data along with your log data without having to sort of put all of that in one place. And that architecture is very unique, and I think it'll help many of you all in your sort of observability use cases. What we are doing is we are adding more data sources. So we're going to add support for CloudWatch, and I think that way you can look at your CloudWatch metrics in addition to your sort of log data and be able to sort of get to the things that you're looking for. We are also adding alerting support in our anomaly detection, and so that you can get alerts. We are continuing to innovate on search as well. We talked about semantic search. We talked about scaling KNN. We're going to add support for external re-rankers. So what that lets you do is the results that you get back from OpenSearch, you're able to re-rank them based on, your business logic or maybe other ML models. So we're going to add support for you'll be able to plug in external re-rankers. That will be pretty powerful. We are continuing to improve durability of our OpenSearch clusters. Rajiv talked about indexing back pressure, which is great, and it's helping many customers today. We are also working on adding surge back pressure. Sometimes you see a surge in search requests, and that can impact your cluster and affect then all of the workloads. By introducing search back pressure, we are able to sort of like reduce the throttle some search requests or do admission control on search requests and maintain the cluster to be stable. So that's going to be really powerful as well. We are working on extensibility. Today, OpenSearch comes with a plugin architecture which is a little brittle because when you upgrade to new versions of OpenSearch, you need to test it with test your plugins and see if they're working or not. We're working on this new extensions framework that lets you plug and play different extensions and not have to worry about breaking across versions. The interface is going to be very simple to use, and it's going to be pretty powerful. Would love to have you all actually look at that. We've started work on it in the project, and so you can already go and see how we are thinking about it. And we are also building an extensions catalog, so you can see a list of all the extensions that will be available. Then we are working on performance. One of the biggest things that we launched in an experimental version, but would love to all of y'all try, is segment level replication. Today, OpenSearch does document replication. So whenever you index a particular document and you replicate it on another node, that document gets re-indexed, and it's using valuable compute resources. With segment replication, you index the document on place, and we replicate the segments. And this, in our tests, is proving to be pretty valuable for many use cases. So I would love you all to try it out, see how it works for your scenario, and give us feedback on that. And finally, we are continuing to innovate in machine learning. We have an anomaly detection that we talked about, semantic search that we talked about. We are continuing to innovate in those areas, and you can find all of these roadmap items on our open source OpenSearch project. You're free to comment on it, contribute even to the project. Would love to see you all doing that. Finally, there's one last thing I wanted to talk about. We have a lot of customers who are now using their log data to scan for potential threats. And we're seeing many, many use cases of OpenSearch where customers are not only looking for debugging, but also looking for analyzing threats in their log data. So I'm excited to announce that we launched security analytics capabilities in OpenSearch 2.4. So what did we include in there? We have 2,000 new Sigma rules. These are rules that help you determine specific threats in logs, and these are open source rules. So these are now available as part of 2.4. We also support different log formats. So we support Windows logs, we support CloudTrail, we support LDAP, different kinds of logs that you can now take these 2,000 rules that are already available and run them on your logs and find security issues or incidents and be able to sort of look at it and remediate it quickly. The other thing we've done is integrated this into our alerting framework. So what you can do is not only look at past events, but set up alerting rules so that you can, if anything happens in live, you can catch it and get alerted on it. And so these are some of the things that we've launched with security analytics. Would love for you all to try it out and give us feedback on that. The one last aspect is you can also customize and write your own rules. So you can start off with a Sigma rule and customize sort of and write your own rule. So please try it out and give us some feedback. So what's next? As we are closing this talk, there's a few other things to look at. We have a talk on security and security analytics, which is ANT206. I think it would be a really good talk. I believe it's on Friday in the morning. So if you all are around, you should try and attend that one. We talked about Dow Jones and 3M, the two customers who are using OpenSearch. And so they are presenting as well, and would love to y'all to attend that. As well as we have several chalk talks and other sessions that you can attend. You can also look at, subscribe to the playlist. These talks will become available there. If you're looking for migration support, we have partners that can help you out with that. We have some other resources to help as well. And finally, thank you. It was really great talking to you all about what we've done in OpenSearch. Would love to see you all contribute to even to the project and, of course, adopt the features that we've launched. Thank you so much.